Hey guys, welcome back to the other side of the coin. Sorry I've been away for a couple of days. I've just had to take a bit of break off the back of that horror show that we saw against Sheffield United. I mean, honestly, I don't think I've ever seen Chelsea play that bad in recent times. We've had some bad results in recent times, but that particular match against Sheffield United, I felt so helpless. Like, we got completely dominated by Sheffield. You know, the way they were so much more physical, they were so much more structured. They just out-muscled us, out-thought, processed us, whatever out is, there is, they've done that on us. And yeah, I just needed to calm down for a little bit and then, reassess exactly what's going on. So in this video, I'm not really going to talk about the match itself, what happened and, the starting lineup and all of that. I'm not going to talk about that because I think everyone knows that it was a total nightmare, that particular match, from all the players to even Frank and his in-game management, everything was poor. But what I am going to talk about a little bit and maybe try and link that with a few players is something that Frank Lampard said at the end of the match, which was quite resounding to me. He said he's learned a lot of things and that he will remember this particular performance. Now, I want to break this, I want to break this up to analyze this a little bit further. What did he mean by that? So I feel he's put out a particular, a message out there to his players. So let's try and work this out exactly who this message is probably related to. First of all, Kepa. I don't think, honestly, I think we've all known it all this time that he's got particular issues in terms of goalkeeping. He's not very commanding in the box. But that particular game, I don't think I can blame him too much. Could he have done a bit better? Obviously, he could have, but there's no point in blaming him for the 3 goals that we consider. I personally don't think he was in trouble for any of those goals. All right, let's look at the centre-backs now. Andreas Christensen. For me, this player, honestly, I really don't know what to say because he had such a great performance against Manchester City not that long ago. Completely dominated Manchester City's attack, not letting anything go through, reading the play so well. And then we've seen against Aston Villa when it's more sort of physical, long balls, people trying to jump all over him. He can't handle that. We've seen him against Crystal Palace as well, where he's messed up over there. And now again, once more against Sheffield United, where he seems to get drawn out too easily when he doesn't need to be drawn out. Especially, I think it's the first goal or the second goal maybe. He easily gets drawn out when there's no need to be. He could have stayed on his line, but he gets drawn out, leaves Zuma all by himself, and then the player comes in between and puts in that header, open header. So I think this particular message from Frank Lampard that he delivered at the end of the match, I think that message could be related to him, first of all, as well. Secondly, let's look at Zuma. Zuma, I don't think, played too poorly. I mean, it was a total poor show anyway, but he wasn't one of the really, really poor ones. So I don't think the message was related to him. Reece James. Personally, I don't think Reece James had a very good game. In fact, I don't think Reece James has had a good game since the restart, to be honest. And when I look at Reece James's, qualities at the moment, for me, crossing is the only thing that stands out. I don't think he's got the blistering pace to go up and down in that right wing channel. And his defending, I don't think he's always aware of what's around him, gives away the ball too easily. And his players, top wingers, sometimes can go around him. They've got the pace to go through him. So I don't necessarily think that he's been that well, but I also don't think that message was targeted towards him because, he's young, it's in his first proper Premier League season, and at the end of the day, he's going to develop and hopefully he goes on to be the right back that we need, right? So I don't think it's him. Azpilicueta, left back. Look, once again, I don't think he had a poor game either, but I think it was quite evident that we definitely need a left back because we weren't getting that service from Azpilicueta because of how structured and well defended Sheffield was. So, this is the thing. I think Azpi can do a job in the left back area, but he's not going to be someone who's going to be cutting edge against teams like Sheffield United, who's got brilliant defensive organisation. Azpilicueta overall just doesn't cut it, to be honest. I don't think at the end that message was for him, but it just doesn't cut it. Now, moving on to the midfield, Jorginho. Honestly, no disrespect to the player. Like, I've been quite heavy on this particular player in social media, more specifically on football Twitter, but this is the reason why Jorginho wasn't starting. You know, the way Frank is playing post the lockdown and even just before the lockdown, you know, with the lone DM and attacking eights, Jorginho, and as I said, once again, no disrespect to him, he's still a fine player. He simply does not fit this style. Him in that lone DM with the attacking eights, he does not have the mobility to track, you know, off the ball movements whenever the opposition counters. He does not have that mobility. He's not physical enough. He's not, you know, he doesn't have that engine to do lateral movements side to side to cover for the fullbacks when they're bombing up or when they're, you know, midfielders are bombing up. He doesn't have the game to protect the centre backs. And I hope we've all understood that why Jorginho doesn't play in this, you know, style that Frank's trying to play. You know, yes, he's a great passer of the ball. Yes, he can carry the ball. He's great at controlling the tempo, but he is not what we need in this structure. So I think this message is definitely probably targeted towards him as well. As we've already said, part of it was Andres Christensen. Now the other part is towards Jorginho. I think Jorginho, after that abysmal performance, I don't think we'll see him play for Chelsea ever again. Now, it could be some off the bench performances. If Kante is not fit, I'm sure Kovacic is probably going to play in the next match, or whoever else. Like, throw in anyone else. It just won't be Jorginho. We've seen far too many times how he's been beaten by the Sheffield United players, specifically in the counters. So he's one of them who's targeted here. Now let's look at the other two eights, Mason Mount and Barkley. Mason Mount, he was taken off at halftime. He didn't have a good game, but I need to point this out that these midfielders need service from the lone DM, you know, and I don't mean side-to-side passes. When Kante plays, he gets the ball straight away, lays it off to any of the attackers, and then they look for the forward players and they get the ball to them. With Jorginho, he's too much sideways passes and just allows the whole opposition to structure everything and stay compact. So yes, look, Mount probably didn't have a great game, but I need to probably say that having Jorginho doesn't help this system out, and it doesn't help the midfielders either. Barkley saw a lot of the ball because, you know, too much side movement, side passes that were happening. So Barkley probably ended up being the playmaker. But honestly, Barkley's too conservative. He's too safe. He doesn't have that cutting edge, that passing, you know, line breaking pass. He doesn't take risk. In that match, you know, you need to deliver special passes. Yes, movement from the front is also required, but you need to take the ball up, take your man on, and then look for a particular pass. He's too safe. He gets the ball, he looks up, he thinks like for 5 to 6 seconds, and then he delivers a pass, which is such a simple pass. And that's not going to get us anywhere. So there's some stats out there that are going to show, oh, you know, Barkley had a fantastic statistical game. He made all his passes, you know, completed his dribbles and whatnot, but none of them was, you know, line-breaking or game-changing passes or game-changing dribbles. They were all safe stuff, and it's not going to cut it. So Barkley's another one who's going to be in the microscope of that particular Frank Lampard's message. Now, looking at the forward pack, Pulisic, Willian and Tammy. Honestly, Willian and Pulisic, Willian probably looked a bit tired, but once again, I'm going to have to say that that whole service from the midfield wasn't there, so their games were nullified, so I don't think you got the best out of them. We've seen how well, you know, Willian has played against Watford, you know, against Aston Villa, Manchester City. So it's not like these guys can't play. They can play, but all of those times we've had midfielders that have, you know, given them the chance to, you know, express themselves. We've had Giroud who's linked up with them nicely, and I'll get to that whole Tammy situation. So this match we didn't have that, and hence their games were nullified, both Willian and Pulisic. Pulisic tried his best to do his magic, you know, trying to take on the players by himself, which he always does, but he was just met with too many defenders and well-organized Sheffield United defense. So can't really say too much about him because he wasn't getting enough link up with Tammy either. Now, to Tammy, honestly, I think this player, I mean, thank you so much, Tammy, for scoring all that goals this season. But over the vast period, since the start of this year, he's been poor. His movement has not been there. His link up has not been there. His, just any sort of hold up play has not been there. And we've seen it in this match where he's just stand static with 3 defenders. What are you going to do? You can't do anything. We can't go long because you're going to get, marked by 3 players. We can't pass it to you on the ground because you've got players. You need to move around. You need to shift defenders away from you. Drop deep if you have to. Get closer to Pulisic. Get closer to Willian. You need to just break it up. And I don't see enough movement from him. I honestly don't. And for a tall guy, the amount of crosses that we were delivering, and that's the other issue. There was no plan in the match, and all we did was just bombing crosses, which, fair enough. I mean, whatever. I mean, if that's how we want to play, fine. But Tammy, with that height, he's so weak and so useless, to be honest, in the air. Like, there was one opportunity, I think it was in the second half, clear-headed chance, and no power, no accuracy, straight at the keeper, when honestly that should have been a goal. So overall, I think he's probably one that message is towards him as well, because at the moment he's not even Chelsea's number 1 striker. He's number 2. With Timo Werner coming in, he's probably number 3 striker unless Giroud leaves. And off the bench, what am I going to say about Rudiger? Rudiger, wow, that goal, that 3rd goal, what an assist for the Sheffield United player. For someone who's a top-notch defender, German international with all that experience, that was poor. That was so poor. He needed to clear that, and he simply didn't clear it at all. So I don't think, and so yeah, that message is definitely towards Rudiger, that Frank Lampard's message right at the end. So he's one of them who's going to be in trouble. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, to be honest, I mean, he's just got some minutes, so I can't really blame him. He didn't have to, well, he couldn't do much. Same with Callum Hudson-Odoi. He came on late when we played 4-2-4 and we looked far more vulnerable as well in that formation. So can't really blame Callum Hudson-Odoi trying to, create stuff in such a short time. He couldn't do it, but nothing against him. And overall, I don't think any of the other, Giroud came on as well in the second half, probably a bit too late. So I can't really have a go at him either, but he should have started. I don't really understand why Tammy started. So all up, I think the message was really the Frank Lampard message was really for Andreas Christensen, Rudiger, Ross Barkley, Tammy Abraham, Jorginho. I think these guys are in massive trouble with Frank Lampard. I'm not really sure, this season or even next season, if they're going to get to play that many matches. They may play a few matches still. We've only got a few left, but I don't think they'll be in the long-term plan if they carry on with this attitude, which we have seen in few matches already. So that's a little bit about the match and the particular statement from Frank Lampard. Now I want to quickly talk about Kai Havertz, some quick updates. He's come out and said, I don't know how true it is, but the German journalist Christian Falk has come out and said that he is definitely looking to leave Bayer Leverkusen, but at the same time he wants someone who's going to be able to get Champions League position. So in essence, if we don't get Champions League position, I'm not really sure how possible it is, because he is wanting to leave Leverkusen for Champions League. And lastly, BENRAHMA, wow, what a match he had over the weekend. I believe it was Derby. Couple of goals again. This guy's just banging goals after goals since the restart. Is, as I said previously, fantastic 2 seasons already. This is the second season running in the Championship. But this guy is a special player, man. We need to go after him. News about Willian is that he wants to stay at Chelsea, but once the 3-year contract, he's not going to get it. I think we're happy to give him the 2 years, but he's not going to take that. He wants the whole 3 years. So if we can't get that done, and I hope honestly Willian's played his time here. Let's get BENRAHMA, and here's the future, and let's go after him. So guys, let me know about all of these topics. Let me know what you thought about Frank Lampard's statement and who they might be targeted to. I would love to know what your thoughts are around that. And if you've enjoyed this video, smash the like button, guys. And if you're here for the first time, subscribe, hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content, guys. Until next time, see ya.